What's good, fam? Welcome to the channel. We're gonna get into reverse dieting. This is gonna be fun. What's up? First of all, welcome to my channel. Hang on. Lily, stop digging. Stop digging. Stop it. My dog loves to dig. Anyway, all right, listen, I want to talk to you about the 4 pillars of reverse dieting, because reverse dieting, I've been number one, getting a lot of questions about it, and number 2, it's actually a really valuable tool, and I use it a lot with my coaching program. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the 4 pillars. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about like what is reverse dieting and why you should potentially consider utilizing it as a tool with this whole fat loss game. So what is reverse dieting? Basically, reverse dieting is the concept of just adding calories back in to your diet and basically getting to where your just overall calorie intake is higher. So why is that important? Because the thing is, normal dieting, how it works, I'm sure you know, is, let's say you're like, okay, I'm going to start on a diet, and then I start eating less. And all of a sudden, let's say you plateau, and then you start to eat a little bit less, then you start to plateau, then you eat a little bit more less, and then all of a sudden, you're just slowly taking away calories, and it gets to a point of no return, where like if you're already like, let's say lower calories, let's say you're already at like 1,500 calories, you're not gonna go to 1,000. If you are, that's not very smart. But or like if you're already like a 1,200 calorie diet, you're not gonna go to like 900, right? So the concept of reverse dieting gets you to have a higher calorie intake, to basically have some wiggle room to manipulate, to be able to just have a higher calorie intake while dieting, which is super important from an enjoyment aspect, from just a sustainability aspect, from a be able to keep your metabolism higher aspect, and to be able to retain muscle tissue aspect. Sorry, my puppers are running around. Does that make sense? So let's get into the pillars of basically the nuts and bolts of reverse dieting. Pillar number 1, having spent a consistent period of time in a deficit. Okay, the problem with a lot of people when they go to a reverse diet, they haven't spent enough time in a deficit. It's like they haven't seen any progress, and they're like, oh, I should probably just reverse diet. But no. You have to spend a consistent period of time in a deficit for this reverse diet thing to work, 9 times out of 10. So what happens is, if you've already just been overeating a lot, and then just trying to slowly add back calories, is not the best idea, because you've been overeating already. The best time a reverse diet comes in is when, like, let's say you just finished some sort of cut, whether you did a bodybuilding show, a physique show, or just you've been dieting for vacation, or whatever the case is. All you're doing is just adding calories back in slowly. But you have to come from a consistent place of being in a deficit for this to really be optimal and for this to really work. That makes sense? So basically, after you've spent, let's say, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks in a deficit, now we can talk about reverse dieting. Or let's say you've been in a deficit consistent enough to where you've really truly started to plateau. Now we can talk about adding a reverse diet in. All right, it's really hot and sunny over here. We're gonna go somewhere else. 1 second. That's better. Okay, so reverse diet pillar number 2. Slowly add calories back in, because here's a big, humongous mistake most people make, is they go from dieting to, especially if it was like a really extreme diet or a really rigid diet, and they basically just start eating copious amounts of calories back. Like, let's say their diet during a fat loss phase ended at, I don't know, 1,500 calories, and then they just eat like an asshole, or they like add 3,000 back. Or now they eat 3,000 calories, or whatever the case is. In the same way with normal dieting, because to make it easy, all the principles you use for normal dieting, you're gonna use for reverse dieting. So if normal dieting, you would never be in a 1,000 calorie deficit or take away 1,000 calories at once. What's a good amount of calories on a normal diet to take away? 3 to 500, 2 to 500. So the same way with reverse dieting, you're just gonna add 300 to 500 calories back into your diet. So like, let's say your diet stopped at 1,500 calories. Now you're just gonna bump to 1,800 calories. Rock that for a few weeks. See how your body responds. Then, after a few weeks, assuming you didn't gain a bunch of weight and things are progressing as they should, then you're gonna go from 1,800 to maybe 2,100. Rock that for a few weeks. Then go from 2,100 to maybe, I don't know, 2,400, something like that. This is super case dependent, but do you see what I'm saying? All you're doing is slowly titrating your calories back up over weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, because most people get impatient as fuck, and we don't want that. You can't be super impatient and just be like, oh, I added 200 calories a day back for 2 days, I'm just gonna add 1,000. Don't do that. Over weeks and weeks and weeks, you're just slowly adding your calories back in, and that's it. That's literally the magic of it all. Now, let's get into pillar number 3, when to stop. When should you stop your reverse diet? Well, this is really case dependent, super case dependent, because it just depends on you as a person, how many calories you were at, now how many calories you are at. So, rule of thumb is as you would start to gain weight, okay? So, or as you would start to gain fat, I should say, because a little bit of total body weight gain is part of reverse dieting. I'll get to here in a minute. But the thing you have to understand is when to stop. It's when you're basically getting almost into where your body's been really adapted to adding these calories back, and when you would start to gain body fat. So like, let's say your reverse diet, or let's say your normal diet ended at 1,500 calories. And let's say you did that progression. I said you went from 1,500 to like 1,800 over a few weeks. Then over a few more weeks, you went from 1,800 to 2,100 and things like that. Because generally when you add calories back, most of the time, having spent a consistent period of time in a deficit, you're gonna continue to see fat loss progress, because a lot of times your metabolism can elevate and all this other cool stuff happens, even if the scale doesn't change. But what happens is a lot of times you will continue, like a lot of my clients, when I reverse diet them, they will continue getting leaner as I add more calories back to their day-to-day, just because of why reverse dieting works with, like, it can help your metabolism raise up and your workouts go better and you feel better, your BMR is elevated and all this other stuff. But when it comes to that, when to stop is a really good question, because you don't want to go from a reverse diet to a calorie surplus or you're gaining a lot of body fat. So it just depends. Generally speaking, everything works really well in 4 to 6, sometimes 8-week spectrums, okay? Now, you don't necessarily want to do one thing for like 9 months straight. You see what I mean? Or like 90 days straight necessarily. So what happens on the reverse diet, I would really monitor progress in terms of when things are starting to slow down, because I don't want you to, let's say, start adding calories back, and then in like 12 weeks of a reverse diet, that may be a little bit too long, where you start to gain body fat and lose a lot of progress. So I would first and foremost do it, and then once you start to lose a little bit of progress, or progress is starting to slow down from the reverse, then call it quits. But like I said, you're looking somewhere more than likely around like 4 to 6 weeks-ish. Pillar 4, things to expect. What to expect during a reverse diet. Like I said, expectations change the game. If your expectations on anything are on point, you're gonna have a better experience. But if you're like expecting, like let's say I was gonna give you a dog, but then you end up getting a cat, like you'd be like, oh wow, that's weird. Or like if you were expecting for me to give you a cat and I gave you 17 cats, like it would still be off, because your expectations were subpar, so to speak, from what you're getting. So a lot of people get into reverse dieting with improper expectations, okay? So what to expect when reverse dieting. Number 1, the scale will go bonkers. Okay, this is the difference between total body weight and body composition, all right? Because a super common thing that you'll notice is you will be able to, number 1, most of the time, maintain your composition while adding calories and weight to the scale. Or it's even better, you will continue getting leaner, your body composition will get better while the scale stays the same, if not gains a little bit of scale weight as you decrease body fat more. Why? A couple reasons. You're, 1, adding more food back to your day-to-day. Just by the nature of adding more food back, you're number 1 gonna have more food sitting in your stomach, like waiting to be shit out. You're just gonna, now if you, like, let's say over however many weeks you add 300, 400, 500, 600, 700 calories to your day-to-day, you're gonna physically have more food in your stomach. which is gonna weigh more. Then let's say there's carbs in it. Not that carbs store fat, but you will retain some water weight. And then let's say you're constipated, or who knows, whatever it is that's going on. But the scale's gonna be heavier, just because from water weight, from having more food, all sorts of stuff like that. So what to expect, the scale's gonna go nuts. But pay close attention to your body composition, take measurements, take pictures, that kind of stuff, because I'm telling you, that should be getting better if you follow the protocol to the T. That's why, like, when I work with my coaching clients on reverse dieting them, the scale may go nuts, but the body composition changes. I got a girl I'm working with right now that when she just started with me, she's come from a period of really, really low calories. She was eating like 1,200 calories. And now she's in my coaching program. Now, I don't want to just go from like, okay, well, all right, we're gonna go from 1,200 to 900. That's fucking stupid. What we're doing is, for her, we've got a little bit of ground to make up, where we gotta get her calories up to a higher point where we can play with them. But she's been consistently eating really low calories. So over the course of, I don't know, last 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks, her calories have gone from 1,200 to like now she was upwards of like 2,000, while decreasing body fat. Her inches have dropped, her clothes are fitting better, her pictures are different. Her scale weight's all over the place, as it should be, but her body composition is changing. So that's the biggest thing to expect is the scale weight will go nuts, but body composition generally will get better. Or nonetheless, even if it stays the same, you're adding more calories back in. Generally a reverse diet is just to get your calorie number to a higher playground, so to speak. Because when your calories are higher, everything's better. You know, you have more energy, you feel better, you're gonna hold on to muscle tissue better, your metabolism's gonna be better, and you can enjoy life better. You know, using reverse dieting as a tool, when we're using reverse dieting as a tool, all that we're doing is getting your calories to a higher playground, so to speak. So I don't want you to worry about the scale going nuts or whatever the case is. Does that make sense? Otherwise, that's really it. Like, that's the concept of reverse dieting. So yeah, now if you're new to my page, first of all, welcome. I should have said that earlier. I don't know if I did, maybe I did, whatever. If you're not sure really what I do, who I am, any of this stuff, I got some links at the description below the video. That way I got some free stuff for you. My link to my podcast is down there, and my Instagram and all that good shit. So that way I might be able to help you a little bit more. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I will talk to you later.